One Punch Man, they've got like the ranking system of the superheroes, right? So you've got like A rank, B rank, C rank, and then like C rank 1, C rank 2. People saying like, if you're an S rank hero, you must be so powerful. Saitama is like a C rank. They're like, oh no, he must be cheating, like he can't be a proper hero. And look at the way like society plays this out for us. Someone over there who's got 1 million followers, they must have more clout.
Oh man, what's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another episode of
Nerd Life.
Yeah, Nerd Life. out here, out in these amazing streets that we have.
Street is the street, always.
Worldwide, locally and worldwide. We're locals everywhere we go.
We're locals everywhere we go, and we're worldwide everywhere we go.
Yeah. We're worldwide when we're at home.
Yeah. Fair.
Oh man, it's been a little while since we recorded. I'm not wearing the same outfit as last time.
No, we double checked.
Yes, we did. So we got a bunch of great things to talk about today. Renfield, One Punch Man, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of things that we could talk about. I watched shockingly, I watched Mortal Kombat again and I got some fresh insights, but we already talked about that.
Yeah.
But I watched Rush Hour 2 with my parents again, and
that's
it's one of my favorite films of all time. It's so dumb. It's got everything you want. It's got comedy, action. It's got an interesting plot, like with crime, and just like it's just so silly. Like, I think
that's it. The way they combine the silliness in there is like, for me, it's just like you can't. You gotta love a good comedy cop drama.
Yeah, man. It's such a good time, and it's so silly that like you look at it and after you I can say all the words of the movie. I don't even have to watch it. I could go through it in my head scene by scene. That's how many times I've watched it. But it still delivers.
How many other movies can you do that with?
Prometheus, Rush Hour 2, Mortal Kombat. That's probably it.
Mine's probably, if I've asked you the question, I don't even know. Mine's Dumb and Dumber. Could definitely do that with Dumb and Dumber. Austin Powers Goldmember.
Oh, that was a great film.
I've watched that so many times when it came out. I had like it on the dodgy CDs that you used to buy them off of people in the street. I just watched it. I watched that film about 8 times, I think. Like in the space of a few months. Same with Dumb and Dumber. What else? That'd probably be the 2 that come straight to mind.
You know what? So I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima as well, but I've been doing the new game plus. So like you play the game again from the beginning, but you've unlocked everything, and it's so interesting. Yeah, like I was saying this to someone, I'm not playing the game to go through the story again. I've already been through the story. Why am I playing the game again? I'm just playing it to be the samurai. It's just fun. Like it just feels good to like parry and like chop people up and like it's fun. And before, I've noticed a difference. Like when you play a game for the second time through, and you take your time with it. I'm really taking my time because I know what's going to happen. I'm not in a rush to complete it. I'm not in a rush to like unlock all the things. I've already unlocked everything. You got full health, all of that. And instead, I'm noticing like the way I go into encounters is slower. Like, when he like holds his blade up like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you can walk really slowly up to people and like parry them exactly at the time that they strike. Yeah. Then when you kill them, other people get shook. They're like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? And I've been really enjoying that, man. It's such a different way to play the game. And I've noticed that I'm doing this in business as well. Like I'm approaching all of the conversations I'm having differently. Not in I don't think it's very obvious. It's a very subtle difference to me. But it feels like the same way I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. It's just like I'm enjoying myself with it. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's important, man, because like I haven't finished it yet, but I'm pretty near the end, and I've not rushed it, and I've also like wanted to just get to the end. It's like you have the two sides, because you're like, I want to know like as the story develops, because it is a slow burner to begin with, but as the story develops, it's like you get more into it and you're like, okay, I just want to know how it ends, and you want to get through it. And obviously with the way the game's made, it's like there's loads of different side missions and little plot stories and things that you can go and do outside of the main storyline. So like you could just take your time and enjoy all of that, or you could just stick to the the storyline, or you can do a combination of both. And I found that like I started to enjoy it more when I was just doing a combination of both, because at the first I was like, oh, this is so slow, and I was just trying to get through the story. And then I was like, actually, some of these little side missions are quite fun. Like, it's quite interesting because you get put in different situations and different things, and you get to like use your samurai skills or your assassin skills or whatever. So I was like, okay. And I started to like do more of those. And as I've started to do more of those, I've just noticed I'm naturally just making my way through the game. I wouldn't say quicker, but like, you know.
You say you're on like, you're taking your time and you've rushed it a little bit. I rushed the shit out of God of War, the new one that came out recently. Oh man, I was like in a hurry to finish it because I wanted to find out what happened in the story. And someone asked me recently, hey, what do you think of God of War? And I noticed my answer was like, oh yeah, the story was underwhelming. It was only underwhelming because I had massive expectations. I was like, what's going to happen? And like really trying to get through the game. And I've done that in so many areas of my life, like relationships. Then it's a funny little nod in the direction of like, when you take your time, you enjoy things more.
Yeah, do you know what? I ran a mindset session last night.
You know what? Someone told me they were attending it, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" You know, Jess.
Yeah.
Shout out Jess. She goes, "Oh, I'm off to the mindset session." I'm like, "Huh?" She goes, "Yeah, Alex is hosting it," and I'm like, "Oh." She goes, "Are you coming?" I was like, "I'm on my way to kickboxing class," but no, I didn't know. I had no idea. How did it go?
Yeah, it was sick, man. A few of the people said it was one of the best ones we've done. And we basically were talking. I wanted to give it a theme, so I gave it the theme of like problems, like taking a deeper look at how problems are, how we perceive them and how they're created in our minds. And I used a quote from Amy Johnson, which I'm probably going to butcher right now, but we'll get the essence of it.
Shout out Amy. I bought always. Like 20 or 30 of your books, giving them out as gifts.
And the quote is from Being Human, and it said like, the only reason we see things as problems is because we have a belief that the situation should be different than what it is.
Ooh, say it one more time, please.
The only the only reason we see things as problems is because we have a belief that the situation should be different than what it is. And look at that, man. The God of War thing that you were saying is like you're expecting the story to be different to what it was, and you got this expectation, and now it's a problem, and you're like, oh, it's not that great. And I see it all the time, like even in business, man. Like you can look at something as a problem because you expect. Like we were having that conversation yesterday. The whole point of that conversation really was that I'm seeing everything that's going on as a problem to some degree, whereas like actually if it's because I want it to be different than what it is. And when you see that, oh, actually, I have the power to make a choice here, make different choices, have different outcomes, keep things as they are, have the same outcome. Either way, like it comes down to like a freedom of choice. And I love that because it's like, it's just pulling us back into like, yeah, okay, we can have problems, but do they actually exist? Or is it just the story that we've applied to the situation that has created as a problem in our mind? Because there'll be some people who are like, oh yeah, the new God of War was sick, like best game ever, like. So to them it's not a problem, so it can't be the game's fault.
That's true. I'm gonna keep relating things back to relationships because call me a little lover boy nowadays.
That's why I put the red light on behind you, the lover boy red.
I bought myself a bunch of roses recently too. You saw them in my apartment, and they're beautiful. I'm taking it really slow, and it's the best thing ever, man. Like it really helps you. If I was to play God of War Ragnarok for the first time again, so if I could go back and do it all over again, I'd want to really like do all the side missions, take my time with the story, maybe take like a couple of months to play through the whole thing instead of burning through it in a week. But yeah, same thing I'm noticing with getting to know this person I'm interested in. Savoring little details is cool. Like there's a lot of mystery there, and I'm like, oh, tell me more.
Well, that's the magic of it, man. Like relationships, like for me, you know, obviously I've been with Shen for like nearly 3 years now, and I think the magic of it is like when you get into the newness of the relationship over and over and over again, and you're like constantly like discovering little things about someone. That's what kind of keeps the relationship alive. And when we fall into the thing of like, oh yeah, no, I know what this person's like, and you know, you have all of these expectations of each other. That's where the problems appear, because we're creating an expectation. We're creating, you're being like this, and you should be being a different way. Whereas actually, at the beginning, when you meet someone, it's like there's a freshness, and you're interested, you're excited. Like, oh, that's a cool little thing I never knew, or oh, I like that little quirk, or like tell me about this thing that you know when you were younger, or whatever. You're like always exploring new parts of that person, because you're seeing them with the beginner's mind, instead of like, oh, I already know what you're like, full of knowing I am.
I like this analogy I've heard. So girls that I've dated in the past I haven't really been interested in, it feels like they're a room in a house, and I've seen a lot of it and I'm like, okay, cool. But then the girls that I've dated who I've been really into, they're like a planet. And you just want to like go to every different country and you're like, oh, what's over here, like just travel their whole planet. That's not a sexual thing, but it can be as well. But yeah, I feel like that's really the way I'm coming into this, and I'm gonna do that with games more often too.
Yeah, man. And do you know what? One thing that I'm really learning from Ghost of Tsushima is like I guess like a main part of the story is like, do you want to do the honorable thing and like live by the code of the samurai, which is like you fight with honor, you know, you put, you know, I don't know what the code is, but like you put yourself in front of them and you don't hide, you don't fight from the shadows, you like fight with honor and you fight with everything you've got? Or do you want to, you know, be more of an assassin type, which is kind of what the game's teaching you to do, like and fight from the shadows and sneak up on people and stuff like that. And I think it's a very interesting storyline because it's like, it's showing us that there's always a choice in how we want to, and it's not like one way is better than the other. It's not like, oh, being a samurai is better than the assassin, or being the assassin is better for the samurai. Sometimes one way is more suitable to a situation than another way, and it doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just adaptable and more suitable. And it's like, mate, there's so many areas of life where you can see that. So many areas of life, you know. I
like so for me the dichotomy between assassin and samurai is really interesting, man. Like you're saying, different occasions call for different things, right? But I'll use myself as an example. I'm super rigid about a bunch of things. Okay, I have been super. It's this way and fuck you. That's it, right? And it reminds me of this part in Mortal Kombat where Raiden has to. He goes to Quan Chi and he's like, "Yo, give me some help." And he's like, yeah, go on, I'll help you. But you're going against everything you've ever known. And he's like, oh, fuck. He has to do the opposite of what he's always thought is right. And it's the same with this. Like, in growing my business, in having great relationships, in getting into great shape, having good mental health and physical health, I've had to do the opposite of a lot of things I thought I needed to do. Like, if you want to have a great business, it's not about putting in as much time as possible. It's not about having as many conversations as possible. It's not about trying to get as many things going as possible. It's actually the opposite, but not like the complete opposite, which is why I like Ghost of Tsushima, right? Like it's 50% samurai, 20% assassin, 30% make it up as you go along. And there's so many little things we'll talk about when you finish the game, but like, oh man, Lord Sakai is creating a reputation around him. Like, we know he goes and rescues some villagers at some point. Yeah. And they're like, oh, are you a demon? He's like, no. Yeah. No, what are you talking about? I'm a dude. I'm wearing armor and stuff. Yeah, but they're like, yeah, but like, how did you kill all those Mongols? Yeah. And I love what's the word for it? I love his attitude, man. He's really like, nah, I'm just here to help out. The island's in trouble. I'm doing what's necessary. So that's it. And everyone is building this mystique around him. You know, it kind of reminds me of Steve Hardison. Yeah. You know, like he's just being the way that he wants to be to create whatever he wants to create in the world. And then there's like, he becomes almost like an urban legend. Yeah. You know, like people
that
around.
Mythical figure.
Yeah, people would speak his name at campfires and all that. You ever hear how Reese talked about the first time he met me? Remember at the intensive? Yeah. He goes, Sachin was on mushrooms and he was talking to me about Steve Hardison. It just made me laugh the way he talked about it. Anyway, that way of being, that's what I'm starting to see is like, oh, if I really want to go for it, if I want to create some epic things, be that way. And there's some things that come with it. When people meet you along the way, they'll be like, oh shit, like, what the hell are you? Are you a demon? Are you some kind of, what the hell are you?
Yeah, I hear that. It's funny because it's like the like to what's the character's name? Jin, isn't it? I'm getting confused with him and Din Djarin from The Mandalorian. Jin. He's he's like he there's a bit in the story where where like he goes and he wants to poison all the Mongols and his uncle's like, you can't do that, it's not the samurai way, like you're going against the code and blah blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but like we're in this position now because I've done what is necessary to save the island. It's been like me against all of these guys, and I've had to do what's necessary to win. Like you can't always just stick to like the moral code of what the samurai is teaching us or whatever. Like sometimes there's something greater that's we're working towards here, which is to save the island, and I'm doing it for the greater good. And it's like what I see in that is like, I see the work that I do as it's being for the greater good of humanity, like helping people create the lives they want, live a happier, more peaceful, fulfilling life. It's for the greater good. Now you can approach it this way, or 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 there can be an amalgamation of all of it, as long as it's for the greater good. And it's like, and that's like the where it comes into like is this person like a mythical figure? I'm not saying that I am, but like people start to see you in that way because you're doing things that are outside of what people would consider normal, to create. And again, this is going to actually tie in quite nicely in a second to some of the stuff from One Punch Man. But that's like, I think that's a real it's a real powerful thing to see, especially like in a story of a video game like that, man. It's like it's teaching you something. Like you can choose, and one's not better than the other, but like so at some point it's like what's necessary for the greater good here.
And fuck Lord Shimura. Yeah, that's why I said it. Fuck Lord Shimura. I love his name, yeah, but bro, he's so rigid. Like, chill out, innit? Just smoke a joint. Fucking relax, man. You're so uptight about, it's not the samurai way. Fuck you. Anyway, just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah, clearly.
What were you saying about how it ties into One Punch Man?
Yeah, so One Punch Man, like, do you know what? At first I was really struggling with it. I was like, what is this, man? Like, this is like the first few episodes. I'm like, it's just this boring guy.
Hey, did you like the crab monster thing?
Yeah,
that was so funny.
There's like this boring guy who just defeats everyone with one punch, and he's not that bothered about it. And I was like, I didn't really get where the story was going. And the first season, it doesn't really go anywhere. Then the second season, they kind of take it a bit further. And spoilers, by the way. And yeah, like one of the things I started to see was like when I started to deep it, I was like, okay, what's in this? Like, what am I seeing? I really had to like think, like, what am I actually seeing in this that's at play here? And what I started to notice is they've got like the ranking system of the superheroes, right? So you've got like S rank heroes, A rank, B rank, C rank, and then like within that it's like C rank 1, C rank 2, all the way down to like 100, and then same for all of the things. And it's like people saying like, oh yeah, like if you're an S rank hero, then it means like you must be so powerful and so special and this. And because this guy, what's his name? Saitama is like originally he's like C rank. They're like, oh no, he must be cheating. Like he can't be a proper hero. Yeah. He can't be that good because he's just a rank C. And look at the way like society like plays this out for us. Like, oh, you know, someone over there who's got 1 million followers on Instagram, like they must have more social like clout. That's what I was looking for. Social clout, right? And it's like, oh yeah, like that person, like if they're, you know, like for example, right, if you see a let's just use like a doctor on Instagram and they've got 1 million followers, people are gonna be like, oh, this guy, what he says is gospel. Versus like if you go to your actual doctor who probably doesn't have Instagram, they may be way more fucking knowledgeable and better at what they do, but people don't see that because they're just looking at like, oh, where do you fit in these made up rankings that society is trying to give to us through like social media and stuff like that. And even with like, you know, business and success, people will see someone who's more successful is like someone who's got a bigger business or earns more money or is a CEO of this place versus like someone who's, I don't know, like a manager of their local supermarket. Who's to say like what's the comparison, you know? And it's like we've got this made up ranking system that we use, and it's funny because like Saitama is obviously like in the whole point of the show is that he can finish everyone with just one punch. So he's the most powerful person on the planet, and you've got all these other people with all these special powers, and like you got Genos with like he's like basically a cyborg, and he can just get anything done to him to make him stronger, and he still can't be stronger than Saitama. And it's like, it's showing us that, like, yeah, don't underestimate people based on, one, how they look, because Saitama doesn't look like a hero. It's just like this bald egg of a head in a stupid yellow outfit. It's true though, isn't it?
The red gloves and the yellow outfit.
Doesn't look like a hero, and he doesn't categorize. He doesn't fit into the social structure, the rankings as a top hero. Therefore, we must discredit him.
I love that.
How stupid is that?
So one of the things I love the most about One Punch Man is it's the personification of the most powerful person in the world is the one who desires nothing. He doesn't need shit. He went to the fucking grocery store and then started playing video games with King after. Yeah. He's like, Charlie, you want to play games? He's like, oh, go on then. And they started playing against each other. It's so funny. Like, he's so nonchalant, doesn't give a shit. It's like when you said to me, oh, he's got to be blasé about women. And I was like, fuck you, how do you do that? I never understood it, but that's how he is with this. Yeah. My throat, I'm really hearing how different my voice sounds when I'm not feeling well. But yeah, the best Squeaky. He's really, I just love how he just so nonchalant. Like, just not bothered about anything. You know that massive reptile monster, the Sea King or something like that? He's fucking everyone up. And Saitama walks up to him. He's like, he's talking and he punches him. And then he just walks off and there's like raining guts and blood and all that. He's like, oh, I forgot to get eggs.
Yeah. Oh, he's up shit. I love that. And you know what I love as well, man? I love the relationship that Genos has with Saitama, because he like calls him master. He's like, I'm your disciple. And there's one of the, I think it's one of the like special episodes in season 1 where Genos and Saitama sat like on this bench in the park. And Genos says, oh, master, we need to get some beef from the supermarket to have with our lunch. And Saitama's like, nah, we don't have to worry about it, man. We got lettuce. And Genos is like, what do you mean we got lettuce? He was like, can't just eat lettuce. And Saitama's like, hey, man, like, don't discredit lettuce. Like, you can put stuff on it to make it like taste nice. We don't need to go and buy more beef just because. And Genos is like, oh, so what you're telling me is that the special thing that I'm learning here is it's all in the preparation. It's not in the ingredients itself. And he's like always trying to find like the gold in what Saitama's saying.
That's like us.
Yeah, literally. Because he's like, he could be talking about anything and he's like, oh, and he's like writing it down in his notepad because he's like, to him, he's like, I need to learn from you. How are you so strong? How are you so powerful? What is it that you're doing that I can do? And he's trying to learn everything. And Saitama's just going about his life. There's like, he's just like, I just trained hard. That was it. Like, and Genos is like, every little thing he says, he's like, oh, so you're telling me that the letters, so the lesson here, master, is that it's all in the preparation. It's not so much in the final product. It's about how you prepare for it. He's like, okay. And he's like writing it down. And I love that because he's just like, look at his listening for Saitama. His listening is so open that he's like, everything you say, I'm going to look for the best in it. You know, and our relationships with people change when we look for the best in what they're saying. You know, we give them the ear of, you know, let me listen to the best in you, and let me look out for that. Like, what can I learn from you? What are you teaching me? What's the gold in what you're saying? Relationships change massively when you start to do that, man. And it's like, that's I love that in the way they do that in the show, man, because it's like, there is gold in everything that anyone says. Like, if you can get something from someone talking about lettuce like that, oh, it's about the preparation, it's not about the final things. You can get gold from anyone.
And it's chosen. I want to come back to what you were saying about clout, yeah? So, you know Tekashi 6ix9ine? In 2017, 18, I can't remember, when all of that was going on, yeah? He was starting trouble with loads of people saying, test my gangster, and I let my nuts drag and shit. Such a stupid thing to say. But you know, it was all about like, alright, I'm gonna get all the clout, and I'm just gonna try and use as much of it as possible. I'm gonna make myself as loud as possible. Even the music, like, now I really liked some of the beats, but like the way that he was making music, I don't know if you'd call it singing or rapping or whatever. It was just very loud. And this is what I see in One Punch Man. Like, some of the A rank or B rank or S rank heroes, they're very loud, you know, about who they are and like, yeah, I'm this person, whatever. And Saitama is the opposite. Saitama is like a Jay-Z or J. Cole. Or I don't really listen to J. Cole's music, but the way he is and some of the stuff he said, it reminds me of Saitama. And, you know, you can be that. I mean, there's loads of examples in loads of different professions, but you can be the loud one who's got all of the noise and all the people paying attention, or you can be so good they can't ignore you. And that is a fucking gem. This is why I love One Punch Man so much. He's quiet, don't give a shit about all the clout, and he's so good that people can't ignore him.
Yeah.
He's so good at what he does. That's what I want to do. Now, like, I could do the whole, like, let's go and get 1 million followers. Let's pay this person to do all the promotion. Let's get loads of followers. Let's get loads of... Or we can be so good that people can't ignore us.
Yeah.
Look at what we're doing. Like, we're making time to do this. We'd be doing it anyway, but we're making time to record it and put it out for people. And we're not caught up in, hey, let's attack this YouTuber who said this about this thing so that we get eyeballs on our... Fuck all of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just about the love of what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's funny, I had a conversation with someone in the week, shout out Safa, and she was like, oh, I watched the episode that you and Sachin did about, I think it was the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
she was like, I loved it. You guys are so funny and it was so good. I learned so much from it. And it's like, that's it. Like that, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this. It's not because we want to get millions of followers. It's because we believe in the stuff we're talking about and we want this to be so good that it can't be ignored. Because of the content, not because we're, you know, clout chasing or anything like that.
That's the thing, man. Let the content speak for itself, you know? Like Mick was saying, I fucking love Mick. He was saying, like, yeah, algorithm and fuck the algorithm. You know, I think that's such a powerful place to come from.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you know, in one part of One Punch Man, you know, there's that thing that they eat to become monsters.
Yeah, the monster cells.
Yeah, that's it. You know, like there's that guy who eats a bunch of them and then he dies, but then he comes back and he's enormous.
Yeah. And
to me it's a metaphor for like, what the fuck are you, like, at what cost are you willing to attain power? What were you willing to, like, it reminds me of me when I was trying to grow my business in the beginning. 18 hours a day, I'm zero fun to be around, and I got a one-track mind, and fuck you. And I asked my mum about this. She was like, remember, I don't know if you heard her, I can't remember when she said it, when we went to India recently, she was like, are you just like this? I was like, what do you mean? She goes, do you just crack jokes all the time, just having a good time? I'm like, yeah. She goes, really different to how it used to be, isn't it? Because in the past, it was just like that guy who wants to eat all the monster cells. I'm trying to get somewhere, and I don't give a shit what the cost is.
Yeah.
And I think that we do that in a lot of places. Like, at what cost do you want to get that promotion? At what cost do you want to make more money? At what cost do you want to have sex? You know, like, these are things for me that in the past I've been willing to pay stupid costs. You know, all my time, my money, my health. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's like it's trying to take the shortcut, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's it. It's like they've got these potential to eat these monster cells, become way stronger. The cost is you're giving up your humanity.
It's like steroids, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you're trying to shortcut getting to a point because you want to feel something by being at that point. And again, it kind of comes down to what we were saying about Ghost of Tsushima in the video games. Like, if you're just rushing through the story, you're just trying to get to the end of the story. You're not enjoying the process of playing the game, of the experience. Like, it's a beautiful game, like picturesque wise, like, it's beautiful. Enjoy it. If you're just trying to take the shortcut to get to the end, or you're trying to, you know, have the cheat code so you can advance quicker, or whatever it is in relationships, in business, in work, careers, whatever it is. Yeah, man, like, I've seen it when I've tried to do it with stuff. It's like, it just, you end up just like, A, not feeling that great about it, you know, and B, you end up just feeling like exhausted by like the chase, you know. Whereas actually, if you slow down to enjoy, and I had this when I started my business, like the first 2 years when I was kind of doing it part-time alongside full-time work, I was chasing so hard for like people to pay me, like chasing. It was exhausting. I remember I had a conversation with you and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna give up the coaching for now. You were like, why? I was like, 'cause I don't find it that fun. Remember that conversation? I think it was actually on a podcast, or before we recorded a podcast with Anton. Shout out Anton.
Hey. And
and I was like, I'm not surprised. Look at the way I was approaching it. Like, I was trying to chase everything down like it was a hunt, and I was trying to, you know, shortcut my way to going full time as a coach, and I was exhausted, and it probably wasn't that much fun to be to be in conversation with, because I was always like chasing something. And it's like that's what I'm seeing. That this is the cost. There is like you lose your enjoyment. You're definitely not being authentic within yourself, and you're not just being you, really. Like, and that's a big cost. If you're not being yourself, like there's no greater cost than that.
That's it,
opinion.
man. You know, I said this thing. I can't get this out of my head. I'll say it probably until the day I die. Oh, you put the battery back in the clock.
Yeah.
I
You
just heard
noticed.
it ticking. Fuck's sake, man. I hate that.
Broken clocks. Each one ticked its last tock. And now, all's well.
I heard this expression a little while ago, and it will stick with me until the day I die. I can't unhear that now, by the way.
I smashed this clock immediately after I gutted him.
I don't wake up to a job. I don't wake up to business. I don't wake up to clients. I don't wake up to work. I wake up to self-expression. And you could have that attitude with a 9-to-5 job. You could have it with a business. You could have it with your athletic pursuits. But I think that's like the ultimate. To me, it's the ultimate goal. Like if I'm waking up to express myself in all the various gifts that I have, what a way to live. Shit. No, I'm good with that. And I think like the cost of I'm trying to get somewhere is you lose that.
Yeah.
You don't have self-expression anymore. You just got, I'm trying to get somewhere. Everything's a means to an end.
Yeah. And you know, there's another sick bit. I wrote it down because it was really amazing. There was actually there's two bits. So there's one bit. Do you remember the bit where Saitama's talking to King, and he's all like deflated, and he's like, "Oh man, like I'm never gonna get stronger. Like, what's the point? Like, I already defeat everyone with one punch. Like, I can't get any stronger than that. Like, it's a bit whatever." He says something really interesting. He says like, having no room to learn and grow means that I'm not enjoying the process of learning and growing. And King's like, yeah, but man, like, I get it. Like, you're saying you can't get stronger, and don't forget, like, why did you start this in the first place? Why did you want to be a hero in the first place? It wasn't so you could get strong, right? It was so you could help people, and you could, you know, save the planet or fight the monsters away or whatever. And Saitama starts coming around. He's like, yeah, like that's really true. Maybe like I'm looking. He doesn't say this, but what he's getting from it is like, maybe I'm looking in the wrong direction. Maybe I'm just worried about trying to get stronger, and I'm trying to like, you know, I want to. The fun I'm trying to seek is in learning and growing strength wise. Whereas actually the fun that I could be seeking is like how I'm learning and growing on a personal level through helping more people. And I was like, wow. And it's like I recorded it on my phone because it was such an amazing clip. It was like a 2.5 minute conversation in this one scene. And I love what that's showing us, man. Like, yeah, like the part of the process of anything, running a business, you know, physical health, relationships, anything like that, hobbies, isn't to get to the end goal. It's the learning and growing that happens through the process. And if you stay in tune with that, then the process becomes more fun. Like I put a post out on my Instagram recently, which was like, the problem with most people is that they're just trying to get to the end destination. They haven't learned to fall in love with the process of creating something.
Oh, say it one more time. At I am Alex Manzi. Say it one more time.
The problem with most people is that they're trying to get to the end destination or the success or the result, and they're not falling in love with the process of creating something. And someone messaged on my Instagram like, oh, like, wow, like, yeah, like I really needed to hear this. I've been caught up in like just trying to get to the end result and forgetting about enjoying the learning process and the growing process that happens throughout and the fun that's in that. And that moment just really reminded me of that. I thought it was a sick, like, it was an amazing reminder of just chill out, man, innit? Like, chill out. Like, don't stress about trying to get there. Just enjoy the process of learning. And it speaks to me at the minute as well, man. Like, chill out a bit, innit? Like, I've been stressing about a lot of stuff. And then, like, even as I'm saying this, I'm like, dude, just fucking chill out,
Take
man.
some mushrooms, man. Fucking relax. It's been a while since you last did it.
Mushroom? No.
Just chill out and fucking like enjoy the process that I'm in, like what I'm learning in this process, which is loads, to be fair. I'm learning more in this phase of my business that I'm in now than maybe like the previous 6, 9, 12 months in a shorter period of time is what I mean. Like, enjoy that, innit? Like, it's good for growth.
In One Punch Man, there's that villain. What's his name? Garu.
Yeah.
He's jokes, but he's jacked, yeah, and he's like giving all the A rank dudes a run for their money, and then Saitama like hits him, and he's like, he wakes up and he's like submerged in the ground. Like, what the hell just happened? And I just, I love that for so many reasons. Like, it's such a good nod in the direction of like, yeah, you can be obsessed with something, and when you meet someone who's a master at just, they live it day in, day out, you ain't got shit on them. Like, I haven't got shit on Kef, the kickboxing coach, and I might be trying to put in time to try and get good. I ain't got shit on him. I think I hit him once when we were sparring, and he just peppering me the whole time, and he's having a good time. He's singing to me, he's dancing around, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like Garu and fucking Saitama. Like, what are you gonna do to him? Can't do shit. But his attitude's so hardcore that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take these monster cells, and like, I don't know what happens. We don't know what happens to him.
Nah,
right?
they take him off at the end of the second series.
That's it. And the Monster King.
Monster King.
That's a very interesting storyline. I don't have no idea what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder when season 3 is coming out. Must be pretty soon.
It's supposed to be this year. I think it might be next year. But yeah, that was. I really love One Punch Man. It's teaching us so much great things about this.
There's another thing that I wanted to bring up, which is there's one bit where I think it's Saitama actually. He says, "Human beings are strong because we can change ourselves." Human beings are strong because we can change ourselves. And it's like, look at that, man. Like, look at like
chills.
Yeah, man. Like the journey that I've been on in the last 10 years, I've changed so much from like where I was when I had like a breakdown and I was depressed and in that phase of my life to where I'm at now. Like, if that's not pure strength, I don't know what is, man. Like, strength of will, strength of character, strength of whatever. Like, that's what makes us strong, is that we have the ability to change. Like, no matter the circumstance we're in, no matter how we're being right now in the world, no matter what our situation is in life, we have the ability to change and grow. And that's, man, I love that. When it's just like, I heard that and I was like, oh, that is a bar.
To me, this is what the point of personal development is to tap into that place of like, okay, in what ways do I want to change myself? And yeah, that's powerful, man. I think that needs to go in the handout for your intensive.
Yeah, the handout for the intensive is going to be quotes from anime.
Yeah, fuck it, why not, bro?
That's funny.
Need to do that. All right, what about Renfield? You didn't watch it?
No, I haven't seen it, man. But
good.
You were raving about it, and I want to say this. I do want to see it. But I was listening to Fat Man Beyond, the podcast I always tell you about. Shout out Kevin Smith and Mark. It's one of my favourite podcasts. And they were talking about it very briefly. And Mark said something really fascinating about it that I'm interested to hear your view on. He said that it's basically like a really obvious, like, shove it in your face conversation around like codependency in relationships. So I haven't seen it. I'll float that your way.
Oh, thanks. I think... So having been in a very abusive relationship when I was younger, and definitely identifying with people pleaser, codependent, you name it. And it's so funny to say it because I don't think anyone would describe me that way now. But I was like a shell of who I am now back then. I had zero personality. I always had a fun way of speaking, yeah. But I just had zero personality. I had no backbone, is a good way to say it. Couldn't stand up for myself. And I saw this in Renfield too. Like, Renfield is the name of the character who Montgomery Renfield. He's Dracula's familiar, in it. He's his assistant, like, so he gets him bodies to eat and all of that. And Dracula basically treats him like shit and emotionally manipulates him and like just basically being a dick to him for most of the movie. And Dracula's manipulation of him requires him to believe in it. It requires him to participate in it. So I think it's a great movie for anyone to watch. You might not be in an abusive relationship. You might not be in a unhappy relationship. And, okay, so I'm courting someone at the moment.
Young Courteous.
Yes, Courteous Maximus. And the movie kind of is pointing me in the direction of like, do you give her a chance to want you, or are you smothering, or are you being smothered? And this isn't an abusive thing. We're just getting to know each other. So it's really helpful to reflect on in a bunch of ways. And with my mom and dad, like, who am I being in my relationship with them? Am I dependent on them? Are they dependent on me? And if we are, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I want to look at, well, what's the consequences of that? So like, at one point I felt like my mom was quite dependent on me or my dad or my brother to be able to do stuff. And now she's like completely different. She's really independent, and she's way more outgoing, and she's got friends of her own, and it wasn't always that way. So, I think the movie can shed light on what's your relationship with yourself like if you're settling for less, if you're in a relationship or any relationship that you don't want to be in. And, you might justify it to yourself. Oh, well, they need me. Oh, they'll die without me. Oh, this or that. I had that for a long time, man. Like, I was in a really abusive situation for almost 4 years. And every time I tell people about it, I reflect on, like, all the problem was it was just me believing something that wasn't true and participating in manipulation and hoping that things would change, but they won't. And I love the fact that Renfield got zero backbone, and then he meets this cop who's just the complete opposite. Like, she ain't taking no shit, and it's amazing the way that they play off each other. It's so funny. But yeah, it's a good movie, man. I'd encourage you to watch it, and watch it with Shen.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a good shot actually. To go on the weekend or something. The message in that, I think it's important, because I think it's easy in it to like feel like dependent on other people and things, and like we've all had that in some area of our life, be it dependent on another person, dependent on like needing to do something specific like exercise or sport, or to feel good about ourselves, or like we can have these kind of like toxic relationships with stuff, not just people. And yeah, man, like I wouldn't say it was a toxic relationship, but like I when I was younger, when I was like basically, I didn't know it at the time, but when I was like depressed and just didn't want to do anything, like my comfort was like I was dependent on just like playing video games, or like staying at home and just wanting to like watch TV and just like numb my brain. And it's like I was scared to do anything outside of that, because I didn't know what there was just so much fear in like what's out there, like what can happen. Like, this feels so comfortable and like easy as well, it's easy to stay here and at home and have the TV on and play Football Manager on my laptop and basically do that for like 10 hours a day, than actually going out into the world and experiencing new things, or like getting a job, or like getting into a career or whatever. And it was all fear based of like, yeah, but what if I can't, I don't know, like have time for this stuff that I enjoy anymore because I end up getting a job or whatever. Like, that's another version of it. It's there's no one else involved. It's just relationship with me and my own thought. There's another version of it. And yeah, I think that's it's an interesting thing to hear that they've kind of like created a story around that in a film with some decent actors in it.
Oh yeah, Nicolas Cage is great in it. He's having a lot of fun with Dracula. The girl that I'm into at the moment is really into horror movies, and I have a feeling I'm about to start watching a lot more of them. I got no problem with horror movies. I just don't want to watch them at night before I go to bed.
Yeah. Exactly.
I watched The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, in Mexico in 2021. I'm a grown adult. Yeah, I was 28 years old at the time. I didn't sleep after watching the movie.
Yeah, I can't do it, man. Like,
I was
those
like
movies,
twitching
like,
and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, mate, even here, like, the corridor in the flat's quite dark at night, innit? I'd be shitting my pants just going to bed, let alone while I'm trying to sleep.
That movie was crazy. And I watched it with my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, yeah, it's just a movie. We both stayed up the whole night talking because we were scared. Yeah. She's like she's in her mid-30s. But yeah, I'm one of the reasons I like watching horror movies is the stories. They're great, man. Like, okay, look at Dracula, yeah? take all of the plot out of it. Just look at the character. He has to drink people's blood to be able to live, right? Can't go out in the sun. Crucifixes, garlic, and all of that. It's bad for him. So, what versions of that do we have? We need money to survive is some people's belief. If the sunlight thing could be, I mean, you name it. One of mine was like, if I don't have a girlfriend, then I'm somehow like suffering.
Yeah.
Like the sunlight made him suffer.
A good one for you. If I don't drink or do drugs on a night out, I can't have a good time. That's a big one. I see that with a lot of people, man.
That is brilliant. That's the same. So Dracula in a way is trapped, right? And that's a great example of how we trap ourselves. I can't go out and have a sick time unless I'm off my fucking head. I went out dancing a few weeks ago, and this girl was asking me like, "Are you got any more of what you're taking?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes like, "Got any more MDMA?" I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about, bro." And I emptied out my pockets. I ain't got shit. What are you talking about? She goes, "Every single person who has seen you inside dancing your ass off thinks that you're high on something." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't blame them." But I said to her like, "Yeah, I might have some mushrooms sometimes or whatever, but I didn't need that stuff." But when I thought I did, it was never enough anyway. I never got rid of the anxiousness of like, what do I do here? How am I supposed to be in these surroundings? Like, I'm at this rave or I'm at this club. How do I know I'm okay? Or like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, it was just all of that thinking made me feel like just I don't belong here. Like, ooh.
Yeah, and do you know what the other? I think the other side of that, and I can relate to this at the minute, is like feeling like you always have to have something to do.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and it's mad because like even now, like I'm sitting here and I can sense in the back of my mind there's like, yeah, we've got stuff to be getting on with. Like we got stuff to do later, and oh yeah, this weekend we got a free day on Saturday, so maybe we should use that time wisely to do this stuff. And okay, well, and just like you can almost like sense it, it's like back of the mind stuff, and that's a massive trap, man. Like, I've fallen into that big time in the recent weeks and months. Just like every minute of every day needs to be accounted for by doing something productive, and I do that because productive like could be just taking a nap. Do you know what I mean? You could be chilling out and playing PlayStation, or like when we was living together, man, we would just go for walks, innit? And they were some of the most productive conversations that we had. We would just be spitballing, but like and shooting the shit, as some people would probably have called it. But we were coming up with some great ideas and just letting things flow, innit? And it's like that can be productive. Doing nothing can be productive.
Sleeping, cooking yourself a meal and taking your fucking time doing it. I asked my mate recently, when's the last time you cooked yourself a meal? And he was like, 2 weeks ago I made myself pasta. I was like, yeah, but did you enjoy it, or was it like And he's like, yeah, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to cooking myself a bad boy lunch later on, and I'm going to sit there, I'm going to watch The Simpsons, I'm going to enjoy the shit out of it. But that's more productive for me than stacking my calendar so that I get somewhere. Oh, I've had my breakfast, now let me squeeze every drop out of every day. Fuck that. I don't want to do that. I want to play some video games, watch a movie, watch some anime. I've been watching The Simpsons lately. It's been so much fun, man. I watched The Simpsons with one of my clients who came over the other day. We watched one episode of The Simpsons and one episode of Solar Opposites. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Oh, fucking amazing. So fun. Such a great series, man. I wouldn't do this a lot. It's such a great series, man. Like, they're really onto something. The people who made Rick and Morty made this, or like one of them who made Rick and Morty made this. It's one of the wackiest things you'll ever watch on TV. But yeah, that is very productive. We watched an episode of Simpsons. I asked my client, what did you get from this? They told me. We watched an episode of that. What did you get from this? And one of the episodes of Solar Opposites, it was about stress. It was so funny, man. It's so good to watch. That camera is about to start overheating and we're on 50 minutes.
Right, should we call that a day then?
I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up in cotton wool for today.
In cotton wool, that's interesting. All right, so before as we wrap up, I'd like to suggest something. I want to know, what did people get from watching Renfield or One Punch Man or playing Ghost of Tsushima? I really would love to hear other people's perspectives on this, because these are, like, we've talked about what we've gotten from it, but there's such rich tapestries of golden nuggets of everything. So I'd love to hear what people got from it. And when you watch Renfield, I want to hear what you get from it.
Yeah. I don't know when that will be, because I don't think it'll be this weekend.
What kind of commitment is that?
Mate, got Guardians out next weekend, so that's
hey
that's
man,
a
you're
priority.
giving away when we're recording.
Alright,
You need
Mick,
to
cut that out.
Alright, we'll see you next week. More nerd life coming at you soon.